resting the mind and being more clear and ability to focus. The mind also is more quiet when you dive deep within until you reach a point where there are no activity.
So you are the chosen successor of Maharishi Yogi ji.
I was so much enjoying being with Maharishi and floating in his presence. Next day in the paper, they wrote,
They get these intrusive thoughts or link somewhere to past trauma.
I've been meditating since 1976.
Oh my god. Let's be honest, burnout is becoming a weird kind of flex these days. Somewhere we all are running after chasing deadlines, and peace is something that is rare to find. And that's when Transcendental Meditation knocks the door. Transcendental Meditation is not something to be seated quietly or just observing thoughts, but it is beyond that. But here, I'm not the right person to answer your queries, and that's why today we have Dr. Tony Nader. Welcome, Dr. Tony Nader. I'm really glad to be seated beside you today and very excited to gain some valuable insights. So, how did you start meditating first, or how did you get into meditation basically?
It's my joy to be with you also. Thank you for taking the time to have this discussion. I started meditation before my medical school. I was in the year at what you call pre-medical, and there was a lot of pressure of work. And so I have heard about the technique of resting the mind and being more clear and ability to focus. And so I was looking for something like that. And I had tried many other things. But somebody said it's a very easy, very simple, a very effective technique. So I thought I can try it, even though I had doubts about spending more time because we needed every minute to study and work. But I said I'll give it a chance. So I tried it through a teacher, was in Lebanon. And I enjoyed it so much. It gave me such great clarity and ability to concentrate, so that it saved my time actually rather than use time. So you practice it 20 minutes morning and evening, Transcendental Meditation. And instead of feeling like I'm wasting time, actually it made me so much more effective and efficient in work that it is really a time saver. And so that's how I continue to meditate.
That's really inspiring and great. And you said transcendental meditation, right? So, how is this meditation different from transcendental meditation? What is different about transcendental meditation?
Well, meditation is anything to do really with the mind. You know, if you do exercise, it's asanas or physical exercise or diet, it has to do mostly usually with the body. But when you use something related to the mind, we call it meditation. And therefore, there are a large number of things. You know, if you sit and think, this is kind of meditation. If you pray, this is some kind of meditation, but addressed to a higher power or to some force or on the emotional feeling level. If you contemplate about life and your future, that's also some kind of meditation. There are techniques of concentration when you focus on something in a very specific way. That's also meditation. The difference here is the term transcendental. And transcendental comes from to transcend, which means to go beyond. So this meditation takes us beyond actually the thought process into pure being, pure consciousness. To transcend is to be able to go beyond the surface and much deeper than that, because some meditations take you somewhat a little bit deeper. But to transcend is to go much deeper, which means to go beyond memories and feelings and thoughts and stress and strain and expectations, as if diving in the ocean of the mind and reaching, as you go deeper in that ocean, you get a more and more quiet state. That's why the analogy works, you know, because even the ocean is more quiet as you dive deep in it. And the mind also is more quiet when you dive deep within, until you reach a point where there are no activity, there is no activity, there are no thoughts, no memories, nothing, and yet you are awake. So there is this combination of being very restful, but very alert, very awake inside. And that's what we call pure consciousness. So that's the difference. And also there is a difference in the way the technique is done. Because to transcend might seem to be a difficult process.
So, do you remember the early days of meditation and what surprised you the most?
The simplest challenge, which is the most difficult, but you will see it's very easy, is to decide to start. Because the rest is so simple, so easy, that it goes really by itself. That's really the technique. It's amazing. And often when we teach transcendental meditation and when I learn it, we always say, take it as it comes, do not make an effort. That effort and trying in this meditation is prohibited. So what is the most difficult is to really accept and convince oneself to be easy and to take it easily. Because we try to always help and make it work and all of that. And in this meditation, nature works for us. So we have to know how to let go. And there is a training to know how to let go, which is actually itself very simple. And so when I decided to make the step to learn, because I thought, I have to invest 20 minutes morning, 20 minutes evening, and I have no time. So that was the challenge. But once I made that step, the rest is just so easy and it went by itself. And you look forward to your meditation. It's not like something you say, I have to do that, and that's an obligation. And so therefore there is a sense of challenge and a sense of obligation. It's actually such a moment of joy and being with oneself and peace and harmony and feeling so good that you look forward to it.
Is it similar like waking up and going to gym every day, or
much easier than that?
Much easier than
because
that.
Because going to gym, at least for me, it's like, again, I have to get myself to go and to exercise. And for people also, they have to make the step, of course. But once you learn meditation, it's like you wake up and, great, I have the opportunity now to sit and close my eyes and go to that state of well-being inside of me. So I would say it's more, if you want to compare it to something, it's more like meeting somebody that you love or care about. And there is no effort.
So you are the chosen successor of Maharishi Yogi ji, and he has also named you Raja Ram, right? So how is it to hold that title, and does it come with any responsibilities? What are you imparting to the rest of the world?
It felt at the beginning like a burden, in a sense, almost. Not a real burden, but a responsibility. And I was so much enjoying being with Maharishi and floating in his presence and, being guided by him. That life was kind of on a level of wholeness and bliss and all of that. And it's a responsibility to run a big organization and to feel the requirement to help the world, because that's what Maharishi's guidance was, with a supreme knowledge. It's, of course, an amazing honor and great joy to also have that. But at the beginning, I was feeling, how is it going to be? And actually, Maharishi, before he left us physically, one thing he said is, now I'll be leaving and the whole weight will fall on your shoulders. So there was this sense of responsibility. But he has done things in such a way that are so easy, so systematic, and the knowledge so well organized, and our organization is also so structured in such a way that we're great people we have. And so there was great support, great, wonderful people who work together. So the whole load felt very, very much lighter and more enjoyable than I ever would have imagined.
You know what? I'm already feeling so positive. What personally convinced you that TM is worth sharing with the world?
Uh, Two things. Mostly people think of the scientific research, on me as a scientist and a medical doctor also. It was something that at the beginning was the guiding inspiration, because I wanted something to work. I didn't want to waste my time. And so at the beginning, it's the conviction from scientific findings. I found that through science, many hundreds of scientific research studies, it was shown that it increases intelligence, ability to concentrate, better performance, greater happiness, more settled within, and even rejuvenation and health improves. You know, the stress levels reduce, there is greater resilience, less anxiety, less depression, and there is that sense of enlightenment, in a sense of being established within oneself. So it had these positive effects. At the same time, the ability to grow and experience some higher values. I was a deep seeker of the higher values of consciousness, of spirituality, looking for what are we here for, what is there, what is a stable platform of our existence. And that feeling of something absolute, which is non-changing, which is the basis of all that is on the relative, is something we think about usually or we entertain intellectually. You experience that Atma, that self, which is non-changing, which is always stable. And you deeply experience it by being there, being aware, being alert. And yet it's such a field of pure being, pure silence, pure existence, that you feel that life is really supported and maintained from some level which is absolute. So that touching the absolute was for me the highest value of achievement. And you know, if one is more spiritual or religious, one can think of, Maharishi used the term shaking hands with God, you know.
True.
And everyone wants to meet that highest value. And what is beautiful is that highest value is within us, not anywhere far. And the Veda says that, Aham Brahmasmi, you know, Tattvamasi, you are that, I am that. And that reality is even expressed in other religions, you know, like humans were made in the image of God. And in Christianity, they say, seek the kingdom of heaven, which is within you. And so all of these values, and you know, even in Islam, when you look deeply, and Taoism and Buddhism and all of that, they all indicate the same thing. And here is a technique that is so simple, so easy, so pleasant, that actually allows you to experience that, not just to talk about it. And for me, this was the supreme level of even fulfilling the meaning of life. You know, if you can have that in your life, it makes all life really worthwhile.
That's beautiful. Are more people inclining towards transcendental meditation in Western countries?
Yes, more and more. And they actually started by being interested in the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Maharishi came to the West, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who is the founder of this technique, he came to bring enlightenment and to bring bliss consciousness and awakening and feeling one with the absolute and all of that. And in his first lectures, people were asking him, what are the benefits? Because the West wants specific benefits, you know. Do I sleep better? Do I, you know, get my blood pressure better? And he said yeah, it does, and all of that. So after giving all this knowledge about enlightenment and all of that, next day in the paper, they wrote, the saint from the Himalayas, from India, is coming to the West. And this was like very long time ago, in the 1950s and 60s, early. And they said, he is there to teach you how to sleep better. that you can sleep better. So Maharishi, the next day when they brought the paper and they were happy, like the paper is writing that the great teacher from the Himalayas is coming to make them sleep better. He said, I came to give enlightenment. I came to give spirituality, to awaken people. And here they want to sleep. And so he thought, maybe I'm in the wrong place, that I should go back and talk to people who want, wakefulness and enlightenment. But then he said, it doesn't matter why people start. And if they start to sleep better, that's fine. They are going to discover also wakefulness and sleep better. They're going to have reduction in blood pressure and be alert and awake and find a greater purpose in life. And so he said, no matter why we start. And so the West, at the beginning, mostly was interested in these specific values. We want better health. We want better, well-being, physically, rejuvenation, and all of that, which is great. We want more creativity. All of this is wonderful. But now more and more there is an interest in higher values. And so whereas meditation at the beginning was seen as something just for the few people and the recluse and the spiritual seekers, it gradually, thanks to Maharishi's work and the scientific research that was done on it, it became a household word. When I was teaching Transcendental Meditation, I was the outlier, the bizarre kind of person. When I was at Harvard and MIT and all that, I was the kind of bizarre guy, who is doing something unusual, wasting time on these mental things, etc. The source nourishing all the different values of life. And so that's why it doesn't matter if you come to the source looking for the source because you want to, nourish your field of mangoes, or you want to use the water for cleaning. Your connection to the source is going to enliven all of these values within you. And so now everybody wants to say, I meditate. And of course, it's a simple analogy to say that in life, we're all going through different steps of evolution, and we want the next thing to keep growing. But if we do it in darkness, we are struggling. If you bring the light, then you see clearly, and then your path is clearer, and you can reach your goal in a much, much more fulfilling way, even though the goals of people at the beginning might be different.
So you have your New York Times best-selling book, Consciousness is All There Is. So please tell me more about it.
Supports from many angles the idea that consciousness is primary. So it supports that there is a field of consciousness, which is our awareness, and that field interacts with itself and appears as the surface value. This was the missing link. So what my book, I will feel, contributes is not just to support the Advaita Vedanta, but to explain how, in a scientific way, a field of non-physicality, non-material, can appear as physical and material. So this is the bridge which was, in a sense, missing. And in other terms, is truly explaining what Maya is, at the same time maintaining the realism or the reality of our physical existence, not discarding it as non-existent. So, because here there is kind of a apparent contradiction, but it's not. The book explains how it is. Are we real on a physical level? The book answers yes, absolutely. Is everything consciousness? Yes, absolutely. But how could it be? That's where the book really contributes. It contributes to the bridge between the non-material and the material in a scientific way.
True. So I have heard of many people, whenever they sit to meditate, they get these intrusive thoughts or link somewhere to past trauma. So how to, get that straight in line?
The best technique is Transcendental Meditation. And it's a technique of the mind. So you learn how to do it. And again, there is no effort. See, when you look at the book and you're reading a book, let's say, and it's boring, and some music starts next door, your eyes are still going through the lines, but your mind is on the music because it's boring. And so the mind is looking for something more charming. If you try to force the mind to focus on something, it will feel pressed and unhappy. So you give it something that is attractive and it goes there. You don't need to make an effort. So this tendency of the mind to go towards something more charming is what we use in Transcendental Meditation. And then when you give the mind that direction, automatically it goes there. So, when the honeybee is buzzing around, making noise, if you try to force it to stop, it will be upset.
True that. And now we are moving on to a very fun segment. Do most Americans still see meditation as a spiritual woo-woo, or has it finally gone mainstream?
It absolutely has gone mainstream thanks to Maharishi Mahesh Yogi in the world and the scientific research that he has shown. For it shows its effectiveness in a way that makes it scientific. And they are now all looking forward to have some kind of meditation.
Okay, so whenever I say transcendental meditation, what is the first synonym that you would give?
Transcending, going beyond all aspects of the surface and experiencing the deep inner self, pure being, which is our self in us, Atma, and the self of everything and everyone.
So that is the first word that comes to your mind, self.
Yes.
Okay.
Self. Bigger self with a big S.
Is meditation in the West more about productivity than peace?
At the beginning, yes, but now more and more there are spiritual seekers who want to have inner peace and fulfillment within, at the same time have productivity. So both of them, 200% of life, 100% inner and 100% outer.
So yoga has still taken over the world and it is more embraced in the US, whereas Ayurveda, it's sometimes, I think it still feels foreign for many people. They have no idea about it.
Gradually, Ayurveda will come to be known, and we have to go through the same process, do research and convince people. And it's now more and more being practiced because it's such a simple way of preventing disease, and that is really needed for the budgets of the different countries who are struggling in their health care, whereas Ayurveda uses simple ingredients and simple foods and herbs and plants, and is as effective, if not more effective, in prevention and creating proper health systems.
For how long have you been meditating?
I've been meditating since 1976.
Oh my God.
So I'm not so young. Huh?
Long time, but still, the glow on face, that ageless glow, it still looks that you are very young.
Thank you.
Yeah. So any master tip to practice mindfulness?
Practice transcendental meditation in a systematic way. Learn it properly. It cannot be taught by books or video because it needs that personal interaction and the selection of specific steps to go through. But it's so easy, so short, that you can learn it very quickly.
So do you follow very simple diet and then you meditate, or what is it like, your diet?
Transcendental meditation doesn't require any change in habits, in food or anything. You can do it while you choose whatever you like. But what I have noticed is that since there is greater clarity, then spontaneously you start feeling what's good for you, what's not good for you.
Right.
And you avoid these because you feel that it doesn't work. So we are more in touch with ourselves and being in touch with our true inner self rather than acting on the basis of advertising and stress and fatigue and all of that. Then you have greater clarity and your diet becomes naturally better. And if in the meantime you need help, there is Ayurveda that guides you so that even while you're stressed, you can still choose the right foods.
So what is the best time to meditate?
Morning and evening, usually before breakfast, you wake up, take a shower, settle down, sit in a chair, meditate. And evening before the end of the day, so usually before dinner, not necessarily directly before breakfast or directly before dinner, But it's better to meditate before you eat, because the digestive system takes the blood flow to the, during digestion to the digestive system, and it kind of makes the experience not so effective.
Doctor, any tip for the busy people who are glued to the screen all day?
They should reboot. If your computer is overwhelmed with the different softwares, like our brain constantly churning different things, it gets slower and more tired and less effective and less enjoyable. If you reboot through Transcendental Meditation, you are starting fresh, and it helps you to actually be more clear, more effective in making choices, and saves you time.
Rebooting is the key. It is not every day that we get to hear from someone like Dr. Tony Nader. His insights are truly valuable, and thank you so much, sir, for such valuable insights, and we'll continue to hear from you further. And I really appreciate you for whatever you have said.
And for making this knowledge available for the well-being of everyone.
Thank you. I think transcendental meditation is the key. And signing off, this is Bhavya Gulati.